Hey everybody, give me one sec while I get the stream set up here. Hey, alright. Looks like we're going. Give me one sec, I'm going to share the live stream and then we'll jump into some new Rome stuff. Hope everybody's having a good long weekend. Alright. Cool. Alrighty. So I just wanted to do a quick video this weekend of some of the cool new features that Rome has released recently. So there's a new, more precise calculator. In the past, it would round any decimals or anything that came out of the result of a calculation. It would round them to the nearest whole number, which for some purposes isn't ideal. So they've updated it, and it's more precise now, and I think there are some other features I haven't quite figured out yet. Some things around probability, I believe, that I haven't used yet, but maybe a future video. Wanted to show some new aspects of the block references, some new features around block references. The new feature that came out, I guess, yesterday or the day before, deltas for spaced repetition, Mermaid diagrams, which have been around for a little while. They're kind of a hidden feature, and they are pretty neat. So figured I'd show a little bit of that. Some code. They just added some new languages that they support in the code highlighting syntax, and I wanted to show themes and versioning, which isn't really new, but you're probably, if you're just getting started with Rome and you're looking at my database right here, you're probably wondering how I have this slightly different theme. Part of that is Dark Reader, which inverts the colors of my CSS, so that's one piece of it. But anyway, I'll just go ahead and jump in here. So once this loads, yeah, so you can see I'm back to a more recognizable theme here, maybe. So let's start with the calculator. So I already populated all of this. I could go into, I could sit here and do all of it real time, I suppose, but that's going to be too boring. So I just did a quick demo of, I saw an article about the wealth of the 12 richest Americans. So, it listed each of their estimated net worths or whatever. And so I just copied that with the, their supposed net worth next to their names. And then I totaled that up. So you can see here, this shows each of the component pieces that's being added into this calculation. So Jeff Bezos, et cetera, et cetera. You can see along the side here the references. So, if you're kind of going through a set of numbers like this and you want to make sure that you got them all, you do kind of have to do one by one. I'm sure there's a way to sort of drag and drop, but I haven't done that yet. So just to see what this looks like real time. So I do calc, and then you could search for these. So I could do it like that. You can also just copy the block references with the little toolbar here. So that plus that. You get the idea, right? And so you can see over here, there's two references now because I've got two separate calculations that are pulling those blocks in. So I'm just going to delete that. And then I multiply all of this by 1 billion, and that gives you the total dollar amount, right? And so, this is just a sort of a stylized example. It's not maybe the most interesting thing to look at. Let me zoom in a little bit just to make sure it's easily visible here. Okay, so pull some other random pieces of information. So like the US population, the median individual income, lifetime expectancy. This is just a sort of, it's just an example. Basically, I wanted to show a bug, sort of a bug that I found, or I guess others have discovered it as well at this point, and sort of talk through how to resolve that. So anyway, pull some random data. Billionaire wealth divided by all Americans. So this would be like if these individuals gave all their wealth away, right, as tallied here, and you divided that by the total U.S. population, then this is how much wealth they have per person, right? And then you take, say, the median lifetime income derived from the median individual income per year, multiply it by their life expectancy, and you can see that here, median individual income, average life expectancy. So that's $2.65 million, right, over a lifetime. If you earned the median individual income, that's how much, and you lived to the average life expectancy, that's how much you could expect to earn. And so if you were curious, like what a one-time payment from all of the billionaires in the world, or not all of them, but the top 12 richest Americans, what a one-time payment would look like for all Americans, you might divide the amount of wealth they have per American, divide that by the median lifetime income, and that would tell you what percentage of your lifetime income would be represented by a one-time payment from the 12 richest billionaires, right? And you can see this number doesn't seem quite right? Like you're probably expecting a percentage here, not 7. So the reason that happens is because these are the result of multiple calculations leading up to it. And so you actually have to put these in parentheses again to actually get the appropriate thing. Because by order of operations, if you concatenated all of the different calculations leading into this and then you divide it, you would get 7, which doesn't make any sense here. So if you put them each in parentheses, that way all the calculations for those individual blocks are sort of contained there, and then you would get 1/1000th of your expected lifetime income. So again, it's just a silly example maybe, but I ran into this while I was doing some other note taking and figured I would sort of show how you resolve that issue. So it's pretty cool. Obviously, there's kind of a lot you can do with this. There are a few things to note. So if you have a period in one of these lines, right? So one of the things that I ran into was if I type US population, it's going to screw all this up. It seems like anything that has a period in it starts being interpreted as a number, and obviously U.S isn't a valid number, so you get broken results. So you have to make sure that there aren't any periods. You also don't want, like say in this case, this is actually median individual income for all adults as defined as over at the age of 15. So if you put over the age of 15, that is going to have screwy results because it's going to pick up the 15. And so anyway, it's not, I wouldn't say it's perfect in terms of being an exact sort of comparison to something like Excel. Obviously Excel's been around for a long time, and there are certain patterns of working and so on that are maybe more intuitive to start with, but I would say this is a pretty awesome thing compared to something like a WordPress editor or a typical WYSIWYG editor or whatever, right? This is definitely better than that for being able to calculate this stuff. So you could imagine doing something like this for, say, your trading portfolio or any number of other things that your monthly budget, anything like that, where you wanted to store some information in your Roam database and kind of be able to edit it in real time. There isn't yet that I know of a way to, say, pull in, populate some data in real time via HTTP. So like I don't think at this point I could plug in, say, like the live price of gold or something and have that automatically populate. I don't think that's an option yet. Maybe it will be in the future. Who knows? Roam adds features so quickly that I wouldn't put it past them to do a quick weekend update and suddenly you have that. So the next thing, if anyone watched my last video, I showed kind of how I do templates, and they're very simple at this point. I think there are people who've done a lot more with this than I have. There are browser extensions, there are JavaScript plugins, etc., that you can do that I think make this even more powerful. I haven't explored that yet. I'm pretty happy with just the stock stock Roam functionality. I have a feeling, again, like I said a second ago, I have a feeling a lot of the stuff that is currently getting added to plugins, etc., may make its way into the live Roam, the main code base at some point, because they're shipping rather quickly on lots of things. So it's exciting. You get into Roam and you find you have new functionality from day to day. It's always an adventure. So let me show you what this new kind of feature, what you can do as compared to my last video where I was embedding the block, right? So I would embed the block, and then I would copy all of the text and everything, and then actually I think I did yeah. So you get this sort of copy of the block. You come through and copy each bullet, paste it, delete this one, right? So that's not terribly difficult to do, and I did it for a while. But this new functionality I think is definitely kind of a big improvement over this, especially if you have kind of complicated blocks and so on. So what does this look like? So instead of doing an embed, I'm just going to do a typical block reference. And so you can see, if I shift click this, I can see I'm in the videos page. So the way that I typically do this, others put this in a separate page or whatever. I just have for each of the categories you see over here well, I guess you can't see my my left sidebar. Hang on. So if you look at my left sidebar, you can see kind of these different categories and so on that I have starred. And for each of those pages, I have a default template that I use. It's just sort of at the bottom of the page, and so that shift clicking on this brings the default template or whatever up in the videos page. So right now this is just a regular vanilla block reference, and so I can shift click it and open it up in the window. But what I really want is to copy the text. So I just click on it. And first I'm going to apply the children. So that takes all these other, sub bullets that have tags, date, etc., whatever fields you sort of have associated with this template, and I apply them as children or as text. You could apply them as references. So if you wanted to link back to the original one, you could apply each of them as references to that main template or whatever. That's not really what I want here because, I'm going to edit all this stuff and I don't want to edit it on the template itself. But maybe I can come up with a reason to include those as references in the future. I don't know. But anyway, so next I'm going to replace this with text. And so now I've basically done the same thing that I showed a minute ago, where I have a textual representation of this, of this template, and I'll go ahead and delete that. And that way, when I edit this, it's not going to change what's at the bottom of this, what's at the bottom of the videos page. So that's pretty neat. I have not fully explored all the possibilities with this yet. I think it's definitely an improvement over, what I was showing a minute ago with the block embed and copy and paste and everything. So I'm excited to see what others do with that. The Delta, Connor announced this, I guess, the other day, and basically the idea is that they've added functionality that would allow you to do spaced repetition. So if anyone uses Anki, I actually have a number of flashcards that I use in there. And so this is designed to be kind of a similar thing to that. And so you see here, I've got this block, and I've just, this dummy text here. But you see this alias, and this is actually one of the new, this is something that I didn't show above. You can apply, you can replace with an alias, and you can obviously do this on your own, but the buttons make it super easy. And so this is nice for if you're writing out, this was when the United States went off the gold standard, right? It's a silly example here, but and then you could have like a reference to some other page. So let's see if I have it anywhere. Yeah, so I do this, replace with an alias, but now I have a link to that reference. Maybe it's from a book or something, and so you can actually mouse over it and see the contents of the block. You could shift click on it and bring up the page that it was the block in the original page where you wrote it. So that's kind of cool. But anyway. So back to this. So this is the deltas. Here's a reference to another page. And you can see here I'm on September 23rd. And you see this little delta button, right? And then there's a 17 here. So what that says is take the current date. So today's September 6th, add 17 to it. So that's September 23rd. And add this block, this text to the daily note for that page. And so if I click this again, the spaced repetition part is it will do this with a delta of 2, or adding 2 days every time you click the button. So I hit it again. Now I'm on September 25th. Hit it again, 27th, and then if I wanted to do 60, I hit it again. Now I'm into November 7th. So I haven't yet figured out exactly how I would use this for a spaced repetition project. The nice thing about something like Anki is it sort of picks the deltas between, every time that it brings it up. So every time you get it wrong, it shortens the period before you see it again. Every time you get it right, it goes for longer before it presents it to you again. But I think this will definitely be an interesting feature, going forward. Something that, and you can see all of the references to this, right? So you're on November 7th. You can see each of the places that references it, and you can always get to the last sort of block of this. So I think that's useful in terms of you get to the last page here, and maybe I say, okay, I'm pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and push it out 90 days, right? And then hit it. And so all of those references now update to this latest page, right? And so this original one that we came to, right? Remember, it was linking to September 23rd when I initially clicked it. Now it goes all the way to December 7th. All the other references are updated. So I still need to play around with this a little bit, but I think it's definitely an interesting feature that deserves more investigation. Mermaid diagrams. So I'm not going to go too deep into this. You can go to mermaid-js.github.io to read the documentation on the different syntaxes for different diagram types. But basically, this is something that within Rome you can easily sort of link together state diagrams. So A to B, D to C, B to C, and that's just represented in text format here. You can get pretty fancy with it. I don't know what other. I've done some diagrams like this, but I can't remember where I put them. So I could go. Actually, I could find that with. Let's see. Yeah. So here's an example. So reading a page about Ethereum. I just kind of wanted to show like what the relationship of omers, what that looks like, just to keep it in my head, right? Like whatever paper I was reading had a diagram, and so I just kind of made my own version of that. So this is pretty powerful. There's a number of different diagram types that you can make, and you know, it's all in textual format, so you can always change it, and I'm sure you can probably embed calculator outputs there too. I haven't played with that yet, but I'm sure that's probably something you could do. So that's pretty neat. Code demo. So they've added a number of new languages that are supported. Unfortunately, scrolling through this list, I realized that Golang is not included here. So maybe in the future, we don't have Golang support yet, but you can see it's actually pretty cool. So the blocks auto indent here. Pretty neat. I'm probably not going to edit HTML in Rome anytime soon, but you know, if you wanted to, you certainly can. And actually, the one thing that I have played with a little bit, I haven't developed my own themes yet, but it's something you can do. Is the CSS. And actually, the interesting thing that I want to get to is the versioning here. So the page is, if you want to change the CSS of your Rome database, you can do that on this page, and you can see this is the theme that I currently have applied, and I actually have different versions of this block, right? So I have different themes simply represented by, so this is the default theme with no styling, and of course I have dark reader on, so it's in dark mode here. But if I turn that off, you know, it'd be different. But anyway, this is how you can easily switch between themes just by having different CSS included in these blocks and creating new versions. And so once you have multiple versions, you can just hit the plus button here. I don't really need that. Just an empty one, so I'll delete it. But you can see how, you know, if you wanted to just quickly flip through all the themes, you can easily do that. And the way that you do it is by just right-clicking on a bullet and hitting Add Version, and then you'll kind of see this little number over here that shows the number of versions of this block that you have, and give you the option to create more. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to cover today. Sorry, this went a little longer than I intended, but hopefully that's useful. And yeah, hit me up on Twitter, or if you have any questions or anything like that, or in the video comments. But yeah, anyway, have a great day. Take care, everybody.